One of the best non-conference in-state rivalries takes place this week. Iowa versus Iowa State. Let's talk about it and give a prediction at the end. Iowa's defense is one of the best in the country. They're out of this world talented. They have been for years. They have a top 5 defense returning from last year where they only allowed 13 points per game. They pitched a shutout in week 1. They have one of the best linebacking rooms as well as one of the best defensive back rooms. I don't even know where to start with this Iowa team. I think they have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 preseason All-Americans on this roster, including middle linebacker Jay Higgins, who I think is the best middle linebacker in college football and will be a top 2, maybe lock for first round pick, but definitely first or second round lock for the NFL draft this upcoming year. All that being said, the offense was the problem for Iowa last year. It was atrocious. They fire their offensive coordinator, the head coach's son, by the way, and they bring in Tim Lester, who was previously a head coach at Western Michigan. And although there wasn't a ton of success there, in 2021, that Western Michigan team was averaging 460 yards per game, which if Iowa could get 3/4 of that, it would be a miracle. And that's exactly what they got in game 1 versus Illinois State. Now, I've said this in a bunch of videos and I'll say it again. Illinois State is nothing to write home about when you are a top 25 team in the country. But the fact that that offense struggled so much last year, I expect Iowa to do poorly in every game on the offensive side of the football. They had 500 total yards of offense last game and 5 touchdowns. For Iowa, I mean, that's unheard of. It was a slow start. It was 6-0 at halftime, but they scored so many points in the second half. It was a thing of beauty. Cade McNamara, who started for Iowa in a couple of games last year, is back and he looks like he has his confidence. In the 3 games that he played with Iowa, their team was averaging 28 points per game, which is far and away better than the rest of their season. And he was also the starting quarterback when the Iowa Hawkeyes beat Iowa State last year. I think that's an important factor when looking at where this Iowa team is headed. Now, let's flip the Iowas and talk about Iowa State. I am pretty high on this team this year, but they had a very weird game versus North Dakota to open the season. They won 21-3, but in there, they only had 7 drives throughout the entire game, 4 punts, 3 touchdowns. Now, the 3 touchdown scoring drives were pretty impressive, but they really struggled to run the football, which when you play an FCS team, it's expected that you control the line of scrimmage. Iowa State did not do that. Their quarterback situation with Rocco Becht is confident. I'm confident in what they have there, but overall, I was really disappointed with where their defense was at. North Dakota had 6 30-yard plus drives, including a 23-play, 12-minute drive in the second quarter. Unacceptable stuff if you're Iowa State. Now, they did somehow hold them to a field goal on that drive, but all that being said, you can't have an FCS team come in and drive the football like this so successfully, drive after drive after drive after drive. They dominated time of possession. Iowa State, I think, had the ball for less than 17 minutes of this game. It was insane what happened in this football game. 21-3, though, Iowa State did take care of business at the end of things, I believe. But this matchup is looking pretty much identical to last season, where Iowa won 20-13. Both teams didn't really reach in the transfer portal and grab a bunch of talent and bring it back. They also didn't lose a ton of talent to the draft or graduation. They bring the majority of their core back. And now, instead of this game being in Iowa State, it's in Iowa. Let's talk about my prediction. Based off of what I saw last season, I expect more of the same. Iowa went up early. I think they were winning 17-0. The offense stalled out, and Iowa State started to make a comeback. But that defense, at the end of the day, clamped down and took care of business. Iowa beat them 20-13. I've already said that, but I'll say it again because that is my score prediction for you this year. I think that field position in this game is going to be key. Iowa, in my opinion, has the special teams advantage, and that's going to be the deciding factor. I think this game will be a little closer early on and will just kind of be a boring punt fest for a little bit, but Iowa will come out on top and win this game 20-17. 20-13. I think this Hawkeyes team is a college football playoff contender, and if the offense can continue to produce the way that it did in the first game, they should have little to no problem versus Iowa State. 20-13, that's my prediction. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.